welcome to the QetvLive show with your host, Miss H. It seems like it's been such a long time since I've had this privilege and honor to talk with the viewers and to be on and to have my special guest. She's not no stranger to a lot of you, but you know, you never, ever want to get to the place that we're unteachable. We're always learning. I'm always learning something new from her. But again, welcome to the QetvLive show with your host, Miss H, and with my special guest co-host today, Natasha Paris St. Amand.
Ooh, yes.
Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you
You know,
so
Natasha,
much.
it's been 3 weeks
Yes.
that I've been out, and I'm just so grateful to be back. I'm so grateful.
Yes.
I'm so grateful to have a voice. We don't realize what we miss until it's gone.
Absolutely.
So
Very
I'm
true.
really, truly thrilled and honored that I have you as my first guest coming back, my
you.
special guest. And to me, you are special.
Aw,
You're beautiful
you're
and you're
sweet.
special to
Thank
me.
you.
But what I want to
you.
do today.
I appreciate you.
Oh, I love you.
love
You're
you
my
back.
sister, my
I
sister
believe-
friend.
I appreciate you too. Love
Of
you back.
course, always looking beautiful. I try to be like her.
Oh,
Okay.
no. Makeup does wonders. Okay.
I look up to her. She's such an inspirational mentor for me as a mentee. I follow you and look at you from afar. But today's show is really going to be epic because what we want to do is continue where we left off from before. I want to dive into what Natasha's here for. She's called the Gracious Etiquette Therapist,
Yes.
which is a new terminology for me. I never in my life heard of an etiquette therapist. I've heard of etiquettes before, but not a therapist.
Yes.
So we first of all want to do a brief summary of who you are again.
Okay.
I usually run an ad, but again, she's been on the show before. She can now tell you who she is. So just tell the audience, you know, give a little brief summary of who you are, and then we're going to dive right into the definition of a etiquette therapist, and then we're going to go into some pros, cons, benefits, and we're going to do a couple little examples
That works.
of what etiquette therapies is for today.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for that warm and welcoming and blessed introduction.
Oh, you're welcome.
Miss H is all that. She truly is. So, again, hello, everyone. I am Natasha Paris St. Amand. I am your local resident etiquette therapist. I am originally from Brooklyn, New York, born and raised to wonderful parents who migrated from Haiti, and their goal was to give us a better education and give us, you know, an opportunity to do well and to do better and to make more of what this life has to offer. And so as I say who I am, I did, in fact, with a friend of mine, create that name, right? Because for a long time, so it's not something that you go and you look up and say, this is what I want to be in the next 15 years, or I'm going to study to do what it is that I'm doing, right? Right. So this was God's plan for my life as it related to just having my two worlds that I've lived in tandem, lived simultaneously, but they were being lived separately, right? And for a long time, I was always in the arts. I was a dancer for a very long time, a makeup artist and a stylist. And so doing all of that, living in New York and working for MTV and just doing so many of those artsy, lovable, you know, industry stuff, I enjoyed it. However, I had a family and still have a family who, like I said, migrated to this country, and they were like, what is it that you're doing? This does not make sense to me, right? You're either going to be a lawyer, a doctor, or, you know, accountant, something that makes sense. And being in the industry that I was in did not make sense to them. So I had to, of course, find a concentration in studies. And as I was living this wonderful outdoorsy, out in people's face, networking, all this other stuff, I decided to go to school. and I found a love and interest in the area of psychology. And so I pursued that, and I became a licensed therapist, mental health therapist. And so as I was living this wonderful life doing that stuff, I was also going to school at the same time.
Okay.
And so most recently, maybe about 6 years ago, a friend and I were talking, and she said, you know, for a long time, you've been doing these two different things, completely separate, but they're all in actuality all one. Right. And I said to her, I said, well, you know, that I couldn't see it at the time, but it was at that time, maybe moments later, it was like the light bulb went off. And I was like, yes, that makes sense. Because here I am styling and teaching people about presentation and working with pageant girls and working with men and, you know, just helping them become their best self. I realized that I was all along doing therapy with them at the same time, because what we know for sure, as many of you guys can totally admit to, like when you're with your barber, you're talking about things that you're dealing with, whether it's relationships, whether it is just things that are going on at work, right?
Right.
I had been doing it, but I didn't know I was doing it. You know what I mean?
I understand.
And so finally it was said to me, you know, why don't you bring these two worlds together? And that's exactly what I did. It became bringing the etiquette world and the therapy world together, which then created the birth of the etiquette therapist.
I love it.
Being able to support people from an outside presentation perspective, but more importantly, support them emotionally and helping them to understand that they have a life that is ahead of them, right? And really offering, you know, a holistic perspective, not just one facet, but a holistic. So what I do right now is I'm looking at the outside presentation. How do you introduce yourself? How do you create a lasting impression?
Right.
But also emotionally, how do you stabilize yourself and be able to deal with things that are not often great to taste, right? And then also financially, how do you become that person financially from an entrepreneurial perspective? Because I'm a full-blown entrepreneur. So I have this knowledge. So my goal is to create individuals to live their best life, have the means financially to create that life that they want. And then just help and reach other people. So,
I love it.
So that's what I do.
I know but it's a lot, even though it's a nutshell. And, you know, they always say good things come in small packages. But powered inside that nutshell is a concentrated lifestyle. Yes. And if we unpack it, you have the ability to stand up against anything in life when what's inside of you is explored, is demonstrated, or you get trained in it. And that's why I see it as a world of greatness, because you can only become your best self when someone helped you to mind it. You know, it's almost like a diamond. It's in the earth.
She's so good with words.
It's in the earth, but at the same time, until the coal miners or the miners get there, dig it up, and it goes through the fire, you never get to see the true beauty of a diamond. And I see your gifting as a person who is mining others. You make us diamonds, and I need it, because we have some rough edges, which brings me to my next question. Explain some of the purpose and benefits of bringing those two worlds together, because I'm so glad you have the psychology side, because sometimes we see people rough edges and we judge it and we don't understand it stemmed from somewhere.
Yes.
But when you have an understanding of what's going on in a person's life, it helps you, first of all, to pump your brakes.
Yes.
Understand where that person came from, because everything comes from a source. Yes. I was talking to a client this morning, and they were sharing with me in their country, sometimes your upbringing is tribal, that one tribe thinks different from another tribe, even though you're in the same country. there's still a difference. And because of that difference, you grow up with it. And you don't even know why you do what you do, but somebody else interjected that into you. Sure. So we have to dig down and find the hurt. So share with the viewers some of the benefits of using etiquette therapy with clients to show them the benefits that when they bring those two worlds together, how they can improve and be a better self.
Yes, you know, I often say to people that you are not just one faceted, right? You're not just one side, right? Because what we know about a box, it has four sides, right? Mm-hmm. And so even though the sizes or the sides may measure equally, they're different. And so what I often say is that etiquette therapy is definitely something that everyone can benefit from, right? Because I think that in order for people to become and be fully aware of who they are, they need to know how they walk into a room.
Oh, okay.
They need to know what energy they should possess.
Oh, okay.
Because it's all about what's in your mind, right? What's going on in your head. Because oftentimes and I can make it very simplistic, when you walk into a room and if you feel a level of...
Well, let me ask you something really quick.
Sure.
If Reginald can quickly do this for me, can you pan the camera where she can stand on the platform?
Oh, wow.
And walk into that area and show me an element of confidence. Now, this is just kind of...
yes, I love this stuff. This is awesome. This is awesome.
We're
and
doing
this to the engineer. Okay, so Reginald, you may not be able to see him, but he is the engineer.
He's looking at me.
And so go ahead.
I just want to see that air. Like, again, I don't think she's talking. She has to take off the mic. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to talk through it.
Okay.
She's going to walk, and I want to see her commanded presence in this room right now. Because even when I first came into the room, I walked into the room, I was just so glad to be back. I didn't care what people thought when I came in the room.
Right.
But when you are walking into the room of professionals, or you're walking in the room to sign a contract, or you're walking in the room that you're getting ready to be a guest speaker, there should be some type of planned walk you should have in confidence.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So, this is in line with what I do in many of my classes, right? Because it's so vital that people understand the power of the nonverbal language.
Okay.
And that's really what it is. It's being able to come in, walk into a room without speaking and exude a level of confidence. So, do you mind if I do two characters?
Sure, I would love it. You do 3 or 4 if you want to.
I know, in consideration of your time,
okay.
Right? So I will show someone one character, which is the opposite of someone that's confident.
Okay.
And so you guys get an understanding, and you get to visually see the difference, right? Because we do it all the time, and we're not always aware.
Okay. So are you all ready to see 2 examples of exuberating confidence when you walk into the room? Okay. Then she'll come back and explain it. Okay. All right. So, what example will this be? The first example.
Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna walk.
Okay. Wow. What type of look? We're going to talk about this look because I've seen this look before. I've done that look before, but that's not me anymore. But I've seen that look. Okay. Now we're going to do a second walk. Okay. I see a bright smile. I see her upright, shoulders squared back, standing with confidence, a little air about herself. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, now we're going to talk about those two walks, okay? Again, this is Natasha Paris, the etiquette therapist. For a lot of you who just have tuned in, what she has just done is two examples of when you walk into a room. It says a lot about who you are. So walk number one, Natasha, tell us what that walk was all about.
Okay, so what you saw, well, let me ask you this. What message did you receive based on what you saw in my nonverbal? What adjectives or what words came to mind?
The first adjective came to my mind is lack of confidence. There was or shyness.
Yeah.
Not sure I should be here. Unsure of where I was.
Yes.
And a little bit not sure if you were having a great day.
Okay. That spoke volumes. But did I say anything?
No.
I didn't say anything. But according to research, it takes 7 seconds on average for someone to make a judgment about who they think you are based on how you walk into a room.
Interesting.
Some people may say 2 seconds, but on average, it takes a person 7 seconds based on your posture, your facial expression, and what you're exuding. Because being able to exude a level of confidence comes from here first.
Okay.
Okay? So the second character.
The second character I saw, okay, this person know where they are, and they showed up ready.
Yes.
Very confident, like they were ready.
Right.
Whether they were the speaker or whether they came to be spoken to, they were ready for the cause.
Yes, and that's exactly what it was. So it was imperative and very essential for the audience to see the two differences.
Yes, it is. And by me seeing it, you can find yourself in both of those places. Especially, to me, it's important right before you get ready to step in that room is to get yourself together in the car, because maybe a person just got some bad news right before they're going to an event or going to speak or whatever the occasion is. How do you prepare for that walk of confidence if you don't feel confident at that time?
Okay, so, that has been a question that has been asked before in the past, right? How do I control my emotions? How do I not allow what I'm feeling at the current moment to dictate what it is that I want out of my life, or what is it that I want out of this moment right now? And what I often say to individuals...
I like that. Say that again. That's profound. What do I want out of that moment?
Out of this moment. Because what we know for sure is that we as people, human beings, right, we live either in the future or we live in the past. And we miss opportunities of what's happening in the moment.
That's a mouthful. That's really good.
What's happening in the moment. And what I try to live that. I may not be the best at it, right?
Okay.
But everything that I'm talking to you about, I'm living that. Or I'm at least trying to do that every day. Because it can be very difficult at times.
Yes.
Right? So it's so vital to live in the moment. What do you want out of this moment? When you're walking into a room, a negotiation room, or you're walking into a place where you may not know many of the individuals. Or if you may be the only African-American person that may be in that meeting room, right? And you already have thoughts about what you believe society, the majority, may say or feel about you based on the way you look, right?
Now, that's a real moment.
That's a real moment. We have to be very realistic about this. So it's so extremely vital for us to say to ourselves as we're walking into a room, I deserve this.
Okay.
What I want right now in the moment is I want to be successful.
Oh, I like that.
And one of my go-to books, Jeremiah 29:11.
Oh, I love it.
Right?
Uh-huh.
God has great plans for us. Plans to prosper. And so if the manufacturer, who is our creator, has created us to be successful, then whatever we walk into, we will receive it. But oftentimes we forget that. And we allow the past of what people have said to us about who we are or what they think we are, or we believe what the future may say about us, which if you're walking in a negative light, it then is going to create negative perceptions of yourself. But what do you want in that moment? Let's forget about the past. Let's forget about the future.
Okay.
What do you want in that moment? I want to be successful. I want to gain this contract. I want to leave a lasting impression. So then you live that, and you know that you've already owned it and you deserve it.
So would you say it would be to our advantage, because that's the purpose, is to understand, to seize the moment.
Yes.
So in seizing the moments, one of the benefits is to enjoy it and take full advantage of why we're in that moment.
Yes.
Would you say that we should give ourselves enough time when we go to a place or an event or wherever we may have to go in life and prepare for that moment?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, preparation, it's in many regards, is the key to success, right? You want to be prepared. You always want to know that you have what it takes in order to gain the success, right? So, of course, as realistically, arrive to that location on time. If not, 15, when we say on time, if you're on time, you're late, right? So at least 15 to 20 minutes before the actual event takes place, right? You want to go to the bathroom. I mean, I'm giving like some quick tips, right?
That's good, because that's the benefit of how we are to be successful. So no, you're doing
You want to go to the bathroom. You want to fix your hair. You want to use the bathroom. You want to look at yourself in the mirror, and you want to speak some good energy and speak to yourself and say, you got this. This is your moment.
Right,
this
good.
is your time. Look yourself in the eye. Pump yourself up. Motivate yourself. And then also, more importantly, you may want to just meditate and pray before you start anything.
That's true.
Just get yourself centered so you're focusing on the moment.
I love it. I love it. And I had put down on some of the talking points I wanted to talk to you about understanding or having a coach such as yourself. Would you say, true or false, getting this type of knowledge or getting trained by someone will give you personal security?
When you say personal security, please elaborate.
Give you the knowing and the ability to exuberate in that confidence and to have the appropriate behavior to walk in that room and to address any problem that could occur. That way, you feel secure enough to know on any given thing that can go down, because I'm prepared or because I have prepared myself, it gives me somewhat of a security to walk in who I am.
So in hiring someone like myself, it is always great to have someone on speed dial, right? You know, just like if you were to go and negotiate a contract, or you're going before a judge, you want to have an attorney's advice.
Yes.
Right?
I love it, yes.
So you want to be able to have someone who is a specialist in that arena to support you, because you can't be and do everything all by yourself. It takes a village to raise a child, but it also takes a village to raise you. So we never stop growing, right? We never stop growing, and it's important to surround yourself with people who can support you where you are and who you can really be vulnerable. And even as an etiquette therapist, I still hold true to the confidentiality. Even though I'm styling an individual, and even though they may say, well, I don't need therapy, that's okay. My moment with them is so private it comes with all of the mandates that I have to abide by as a licensed clinician.
Oh, okay. So that just rolls over into...
Well, for me, it does.
Yes.
For me, it does. Because, like you said, you've never heard of an etiquette therapist, right? So for me, it really does. And so to be able to be vulnerable with someone, to be able to support that person where they are and say, look, you are about to embark on something fantastic and great. Let's get you right.
Oh, I love it.
Let's get you right. If you're about to run a marathon, you need to make sure that you're in shape.
Yep.
And your eating habits are on point.
And some people get coaches, especially when they're running
Absolutely.
triathlons. They get coaches to help them, guide them along the path because of the intensity of the work.
Absolutely.
I also look at the security part as once you get the help or have been trained by someone to support you, it also helps save you from misbehaving towards others and could get you into some serious trouble. So that's a part of personal security. The reason I said that because the other day I was sitting down with someone sharing how I felt because their coworker had not returned phone calls to me. And another person who was listening to me said to me, you were not rude to this individual, but I heard the frustration in your voice. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, the frustration was given to someone who didn't deserve it because it wasn't his show.
Sure.
He was just gracious enough to listen to me.
Sure.
So part of what security could have helped me if I'd have talked it out with someone, or maybe even talked it out by myself, like, what am I going to say? But then it sounds like I'm talking to myself. Is that okay?
Yes.
To rehearse what you might say?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I work with individuals as it relates to just speech, right? And if they are about to go on stage and they are about to recite a speech or say something as they're thanking and acknowledging individuals, it's always important for them to rehearse it.
Oh, okay.
I mean, so it's, I say to people all the time, self-talk is a great thing. It's a great thing. Being able to talk to yourself and say, you got this, and it's in the same realm of rehearsing, right? And then also, we have to also, just be reminded that having someone who you can call on, and I can't reiterate this having someone to call on helps. And what I tell people all the time, find out what are your triggers. What are the things that piss you off and that you feel may frustrate you before the event takes place?
Oh, okay.
Just having let's put it out there. Let's actually have a dialogue. And what would you do in the event that it doesn't work out? So having those play out sessions where you're really being able to see what if this scenario happened, how would I respond?
Okay.
And how should I respond?
Okay. What we're going to do, we're going to go on a station break. If you just tuned in, you're watching the QetvLive Live show on Vox Wave. We want you to go to Vox Wave, subscribe to Vox Wave. You can watch me live here every Thursday with my special guest co-host, Natasha Paris, which is an excellent, outstanding
Are we doing
therapist.
Every Thursday? Are we doing every Thursday? I thought we were doing once a month.
Once a month. I'm saying they can tune in to the show every Thursday and watch QetvLive.
I was about to get excited. Okay.
But we can't talk about because we need you having your own show here.
Oh, my
We need to talk with Reginald about Natasha doing some etiquette therapist training because we're going to take a break. When we come back after the break, we're going to do proper handshake, and we're going to get more into describing the good and the bad, because sometimes we have some false assumptions about what's good etiquette versus bad etiquette. We talk, as she just stated, as Natasha stated, that it's good to talk to yourself, but if you don't know how to talk to yourself, that's not so good, because sometimes the things we say to ourselves, we are our own worst enemy.
Yes.
So we need to know and understand. And we're going to talk about how you can get in touch with Natasha, and Natasha can become your mentor or your trainer or your etiquette therapist, or come speak to a group. So don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. to the QetvLive Live show with your host, Miss H, and with my very special guest, co-host, Natasha Paris, who is our very own etiquette therapist. If you missed the show, please go back on and subscribe to Vox Wave, where you can go back and rewatch the show, because what we shared in the first half of the show, you don't want to miss. You don't want to miss the opportunity to hear what Natasha says, how you need to always seize moments, no matter where you are in life, wherever you go. Moments matters. Moments matter because every moment builds upon another moment, and those moments are confident builders. They are helping you to succeed in life and to be your very best self. Natasha, right at the break, we saw your picture.
Yes.
And you said all individuals are beautiful and deserve opportunities to express themselves and enhance their God-given beauty. Explain what you mean by that.
Okay, so thank you. Thank you for pulling that up off my website, natashaparis.com.
Okay.
Yes, very simple. All right, so when I talk about God-given beauty, we are all created in God's image, and we have to always remember that, right? That's one. Two, God has created everything that we need in order to be successful already within us. It's already there. And so my job as an etiquette therapist is really to be able to pull those things out, because we are diamonds in a rough, right?
Yes.
And so we have to be shined. And I tell people oftentimes that my goal is not to change anyone. I'm not here to change anyone. I don't have the ability to do so. But what I do have the ability to do is I have the ability to just, smooth those rough edges, right? And also allow you to shine. And so when I talk about God potential and fulfilling your destiny in many regards, we all have a destiny, but oftentimes the cemetery is full of individuals who never lived out their purpose.
That's true.
That died wanting more but did not know how to receive it. Or they wanted it, but they didn't want to work for it. Right? So they thought it would just come naturally. And so everything that you want out of your life, you have to work for it. Yeah. You have to work to be a better person. You have to work to change your mindset. You have to work to create that life that you want out of your life, right? And so
I love that.
Yeah.
That's excellent. Again, I want to go back to some of those moments, because years ago, just being taught etiquette was every mother's dream for their little girl, and the little guys too, when they would go to, whether they went to pageantries or they went to, what's the thing that little girls have, that dance that they learn how to, here in America we have, it'll come to me in a few minutes, it's something they do at 15, 16 years old. You can be a part of it, and you have to be trained on how to dance.
Yes.
That name, but they prepare for it a year in advance.
Sure.
But mothers are so busy now, or mothers are single parents that they don't have time. So I'm beginning to see some decline in some of good old code of conduct.
Sure.
You hear terminologies like be real, express yourself, do as you feel, live free. What are your thoughts about these terms today? What is the danger of some of that terminology as it relates to code of conducts, morals, and etiquettes?
Well, as it relates to today's society, we all know that etiquette training is something that everyone benefits from, but they think it's very Southern, or it's old school, or grandmom told me that I needed to make sure my elbows are not on the table. But what I have found in doing this work and bringing it back to the forefront, right? People have said, this is something, even I've had millennials say to me, wow, this is helpful.
Yes.
This is helpful. And so with today's society of this being lost, I say that it needs to be brought back. right? And, you know, those terms that you just acknowledged or just said, it can work in line with what it is that I'm doing, right? So can you read two phrases?
Be real.
Be real. Yeah.
Keep it 100.
Keep it 100. Right, 100. Right, 100. Right.
Oh, not 100.
No, it's 100. Okay. Right? Maybe I'm saying it incorrectly, but it's not 100, right? You know, and absolutely. Right. But why can't your 100 or 100, why can't that be you? Why can't that be your best self? Because people associate keeping it 100, keeping it real, as being unprofessional, down and dirty, or ghetto, right? You know, the terminology, or street, you know. But it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. Because I tell people all the time, understand your role. Understand that.
Okay.
Here's a big word.
Okay.
Quote unquote, code switching.
Okay, now you know you're going to have to tell my audience what code switching is.
Code switching, being able to maneuver in different worlds and be comfortable where you are in that moment. There's that word again.
Okay.
So I say to people that there are different ways to conduct yourself according to where you are. As simple as saying, okay, just from clothing. We could just make it very simplistic because people can understand that. What you wear to the club will not be what you will wear to a inauguration or a banquet or church.
Okay.
Okay? What you wear to court will not be what you wear to go to the supermarket.
Yeah, because if you go to court, don't you have to dress for the occasion?
Absolutely.
You don't wear your baseball cap before a judge?
Absolutely. So there are different rules for different engagements.
Okay.
And understanding what that is. So if you are saying be real, keep it 100, right?
Okay.
Then that means you have to understand how to keep it 100 according to the rules that are meant for that specific setting.
Okay. So do we allow, we're going to do a handshake, and I want to ask you, do we allow ourselves to lead, or we let the setting where we at be the lead when it comes to code switching?
So when it comes to code switching, you have to be able to know when and where and how, according to what's going on in that moment.
So you need to do your homework first.
You need to do your homework. Absolutely. So if you're going on a job interview and you are in, you know, you're interviewing for a position that is a six-figure position, it's an executive position, you need to have some real good information about the organization that you're interviewing with.
And that leads me to, when you finish with that thought, we're going to go into an executive handshake versus dabbing me up.
Okay, so that's what we want to talk about, right?
Okay.
So that's basic. That's a perfect example.
Okay.
Is knowing how to give a proper handshake, right? So if I were to give you a handshake, and I think we had mentioned this before,
yes,
when it came to President Obama, I said if President Obama walked into this room, and him being who he is, right? This strong African-American male with some swag.
Yeah.
Right? Being who he is, and you being an African-American person or a person of color, right? Feeling, okay, I see him on television. He looks down the earth. So when I see him, I'm going to automatically, I'm going to do the black man handshake. You know, we do that snap, you know. You know, they don't do that part anymore.
Oh, they don't do that no more?
It depends.
Okay.
You know, you got to do the snap.
Oh, the
right?
snap.
The
Okay.
snap, right? And that would be what most people would think, right? To give President Obama. Because
he's cool.
Because he's so cool.
Yeah,
he's
calm
cool.
and...
He's cucumber
Yeah.
cool. Like, he's swag. Like, you want
And if
to...
you're watching President Obama, you're welcome on the QetvLive show.
Yes, sir. Yes, our leader, president forever, right? So absolutely, right? So people assume that because he's so cool,
Yeah.
I should give him that handshake because I've seen him do it in the past. No. Why? Because he has to lead.
Okay.
if he is the person you're meeting, you allow him
Okay.
to lead that handshake. If he gives you the brother around the way handshake, then you follow.
Okay.
But if he gives you the professional handshake, because it may just be that it's the setting, and he may not be very comfortable giving that handshake to you at that moment.
That makes sense.
Because he understands the rules of engagement.
Well, what about a female handshake to a male?
There's no such thing as a female handshake.
And I heard that before. So no?
No, okay, there's the dainty handshake, right? Okay.
The southern kiss my hand.
Right, it's this,
Oh,
like,
wait a minute.
This, right?
Okay.
But when we're talking about handshakes, right, simple rules, okay? So you guys pay attention, pay close attention, right? You'll learn something, and believe me, it'll take your handshake to the next level.
Okay.
All right, so what I tell my students, my participants, and you guys today in the audience is that open up your fingers, open up your hand, right? And you will see between your thumb and your index finger a web, right? We all have a web, right? Right in between.
Right between here.
Exactly.
Okay.
That is your lead for giving a handshake. People say, what? That doesn't even make sense to me. So, Miss H, right here.
Oh, okay.
That's
right.
so even if, as a female, your hand is smaller than the male's hand, which usually is the case, there's still a connection there.
Okay.
Now, so in shaking someone's hand, you're giving me your wrong. Okay, there we go.
Okay,
right.
and is it always the right hand?
It's always the right hand. Okay. So even if you're a lefty, it's always the right hand, because more people are right-handed. It's just because it dominates, right? So there's the web connecting. Then all four fingers are holding, and it should be below the wrist. You're just holding with your four fingers. The pressure is not on squeezing the person's knuckles. No, that's not considered to be a firm handshake. The pressure is in the thumb.
Oh.
So when we're shaking someone's hand, it is web to web, web to web, hold, pressure, 1, 2, 3, release.
Okay, so I do anything with the thumb?
No, yeah, you do. You press, because your fingers, see where her fingers are? It's above my wrist. It's supposed to be below my wrist. That's a proper handshake. Thumb in the center. Handshake. 1, 2, 3, release. Simple, very simple. So it is, web to web, hold, perfect, thumb, shake. 1, 2, 3, release.
Do you actually do the nodding with your hand?
You do it with your elbows.
Oh, your elbow.
Not with your wrists, because it feels funny. It feels like you're about to do the snake. Okay, so you're not going to do that, right? So it's with the elbows at arm's length. 1, 2, 3, and release. Never, because people, nonverbal, it appears as though you don't want to touch them. If you hold the person's hand way too long, it's, hey, how you doing? How you doing? Two things. You're either unsure, nervous, or you're really trying to get your rap on. You're like, hey, how you doing? Oh, how you It's a little more.
So you shouldn't be having a conversation while you're doing
No,
this.
release the person's hand.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. 1 or 2 or 3 pumps. 1, 2, 3. Or 1, 2, and release.
So it's not inappropriate for a female to do that same handshake with a male?
No, absolutely not. And I tell males all the time is that, check this out. If you're meeting with a woman and you give her this handshake as men do.
Yes.
It's apparent, non-verbally, because non-verbal is 70% of language. 70% of language is done non-verbally. So when a male gives you a handshake, a more dainty handshake, what does that say? Oh, you're too vulnerable. You're too sensitive. Or you're fragile, and I might break your little hand. No, because when you're meeting with someone as a woman, she could be your boss. and you are automatically assuming that she is not powerful enough to supervise you.
Oh, okay. So
It's
the male can benefit from these classes because I know a lot of them have done shaking my hand that way.
Absolutely. And let me say this, I'm going to be honest with you. When I've done these classes and I've worked with males, they often have said, I did not know.
Right.
They did not know.
No.
And I'm like, I don't fault you. But now that you know, don't do it again.
Well, what about the handshake with the kiss on the hand where you used to see the Europeans back in the day when you see the old-fashioned movie?
Sure.
They take the lady's hand, my lady,
Yes.
and kiss the hand.
And that's fine depending
Okay.
on the setting.
Okay.
Would you do that at a board meeting? That would be
yeah.
borderline harassment.
Yeah, you're right. In
the Me
today's
Too.
Society,
Yes.
that's true.
Right, so we have to, this is about code switching,
Yeah,
understanding
I like
different rules of engagement. Right? A debutante ball. I think
That's what I was looking for.
Okay, so a
name.
debutante ball is
Yes.
when the male, he's in a tux and the woman is in a gown and he graciously grabs her hand, he may kiss
Yes.
it, and he's bowing at the same time. That's appropriate. But what's not appropriate is not using the same methodology, right, or the same technique for every setting.
So code switching is very important in order to meet the standards of what you need to do.
Absolutely.
Wow.
You want to be well-versed, and that's where the holistic person comes in. Knowing what to do with specific environments, knowing what to wear for specific settings, right? Knowing how to, negotiate, learning how to go before the, media. Like I'm working with athletes right now.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that is definitely a need.
Oh, my goodness. I can't believe the time has flown.
Oh, my God.
Because I was just getting ready to ask you to sit on the stool and show me the proper way that a lady should sit.
Oh, yes.
Because I see some horrific things now when I go places and see females cross their legs and got on these short skirts, and you can literally see up their dress. So there's just so many rules of engagement that I'm calling them. And as you says, the code switching, is that the proper name?
Yes.
Tell us briefly before we go, time has gone by. Natasha is going to come back again, and we will be talking about what she will do to maybe have an etiquette show here, because, again, this is just can be taken in every arena of our lives. And you're absolutely right with men and women, young and old, every age group need to understand. Even walking across each other. I have kids walk across me. Years ago, you got backslapped. Don't cross that person without saying, excuse me. Sure. But most of the kids today don't look at it like, what I do? All I did was walk in front of you. What I do? And they're serious. They didn't mean any harm. But those are the codes and things that I would love for our young people, young and old, to learn, to find out. So tell us how to get a hold of you.
Wow. Okay. Yes. You can.
And your upcoming class.
Yes. So I actually have webinars that I'm going to be starting actually this weekend. Webinars and some free online YouTube programming.
Oh.
Yes. So people can really connect with me, and then also some classes as it relates to individual classes. So what I would say is connect with me via Instagram at Natasha Paris, right? 4, the number 4 and the letter U on Instagram. Natasha Paris 4U. My website is natashaparis.com. Okay. And also, Facebook. I am Natasha Paris St. Amand. And so I will post as often as I can. And also I have etiquette tips that I post on Instagram that, just the basic things, right? Just post on what are the do's and the don'ts, right? As it relates to tipping, as it relates to dress, as it relates to complexion and skincare and all of that great stuff. So yeah,
you have everything.
Right, and I'm excited to have been on your show, because you have such a great platform, and we want this information to get out.
Yes, we do.
Because like you said that, you have the young children, even the adults who just don't know, and they are oblivious to what it is that they're doing wrong, because if you haven't been taught, how do you fault a person? And so
true.
My goal is to really educate the uneducated and provide life to those who are lifeless.
Again, she says so much in a concentrated power pack. That's what your tips are. They are powerful tips and tools of the trade. Again, we want to thank you for watching QetvLive Live show. I want to thank my special guest co-host, Natasha Paris, Saint Amand, for being on the show today. I want to thank you as my viewers. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please go to VoxWave and subscribe to VoxWave. Rewatch the show. You can watch it over and over and over. The link will be provided for you. But if you are an employer and you would like to hire Natasha to come help train your employees, if you are having a special event at your church, or you just want to host some type of etiquette training techniques, whether it's for resumes, for job finding, for just personal, contact Natasha Paris. Go to her website, natashaparis.com, or Natasha Paris For You Instagram page, and get a hold of her and let her know how much you love her, appreciate her. And until next week, I love you. God bless you. Have a great rest of the week.